The biggest blow off top in crypto history, followed by the biggest rug pull in crypto history. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jordan Cameron back with another update video as we go over our thesis of why we think that we're about to see the biggest mania phase in crypto over the next 3 to 4 months before we see the biggest rug pull in crypto history in the next after the first 3 or 4 months. Hope everyone's doing well out there, and we got a lot to talk about today as we got Bitcoin, I think, finishing up our little pullback here, back testing its previous all-time high, right? We got total market cap also back testing its previous all-time high, and I think it's only a matter of time before everyone who's not locked in is going to be locked in, and we're about to see this absolute mania phase kick off very, very shortly here. And anyone who's prepared is going to be a very happy person. And I think anyone who's not very prepared is and basically not ready to go, like I said, is not going to be a very happy person. So let's jump on in. So guys, I mean, as we kind of go along here, right, I think right now our thesis still remains. And, you know, as we've been saying since Bitcoin was back down at our 50 moving average band, we think that Bitcoin's going to continue higher. And until it breaks the 50 moving average band, we're going to continue to think that Bitcoin is in a bull market, right? That is the bull market support in 2023, in 2024, and 2025. And that is going to be our invalidation that as long as Bitcoin's above that 50 moving average band, we're going to expect Bitcoin to push higher, which is obviously going to lead for our total market cap to push higher. But our main thesis going forward is, yeah, it's great, Bitcoin going higher, and I think Bitcoin's going higher. But our main thesis is Ethereum and the altcoin market are going to really lead this push up to the 4236 Fibonacci level, up to the 10 trillion psychological level, and up to a top of our macro rising wedge, which, if you know anything about patterns, is ultimately going to be a bearish pattern. But ultimately, before we get that big bearish pattern to play out, we do see this big rise back to the top of our rising wedge, up to that 4236 and 10 trillion point. And you know, as we kind of go along, we're going to do a little update and, you know, why we think that the market's going to go higher. And I'm going to show you guys some examples of, you know, why I think the market's going higher. But mainly it's come from our stablecoin dominance chart. And this is our stablecoin dominance Wyckoff accumulation schematic. And this is how I think it's going to play out, guys. Stablecoin dominance is inversely correlated to the total market cap chart. So as, you know, we kind of had the tariff fears back in March and April, and we rejected from 8.8%, right? What we're basically expecting throughout the bad news and all the good news that happens, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter until stablecoin dominance gets back down to 4.91%. I don't think that there's anything worried about in the crypto market. And I do believe that we're simply going to push higher until stablecoin dominance gets at least down to 4.9%, which you guys can see we still have another 0.3% to go, which can be big moves. I know it doesn't seem like a big move, but if we're expecting this to continue to go lower, right, down to this simple support that we saw in 2024 and 2024, right, as this was one giant range and one giant Wyckoff accumulation, we expect this to go at least to 4.91%, if not a little bit lower, right? That's going to be our push and our fuel for total market cap to just continue to this push higher and fuel the mania where everyone think that crypto will change the world and crypto will never go down again. But if you've been any around this crypto market, when you do get to these extreme points on charts, right? This is all based on charts, not based on how we feel. When we get to these extreme points of whether support or we get to these main, you know, extreme points on euphoria and Fibonacci extensions, that typically is the turning points for the market to go the opposite way. So, you know, as we kind of go along here, that's our main reason. This is our main driver of why we believe the crypto market's going to go higher. But just remember, you know, in 3 to 4 months time, when I do expect this to be back down here, ultimately that's going to be our main driver of why we're expecting the crypto market to go down and lower, is we are expecting this eventually to break to the upside. So it's all relative, right? We're not permabulls on this channel, but I'm going to remain a permabull until I see 4.91% on the right side of the screen here. And this, you know, green line, which is our current stablecoin dominance, is down to 4.91%. Now, right, as we kind of go along here, and everyone's going to talk about the little pullback that we're getting, and I wouldn't even really call it a pullback. It's sort of a mute point. When you go and look at all our major charts, right, Bitcoin, simple retest of the 109K previous all-time high in December 2024. Simple retest. As long as we hold there, I think we're all good. If we lose that, then obviously we'll talk Talk about the 50 moving average band again, right? Which currently is at 95K, right? Ultimately, like I said, our invalidation of our thesis is a break below our 50 moving average band, which right now is at 95K. But as long as we hold that previous all-time high, this is just another simple retest, which we've done plenty of times in this bull market, which is go down and retest previous highs. All right, Bitcoin, we have that, okay? Total market cap, we zoom in on our total market cap chart. What do we have? Previous all-time high, simply being retested. We're expecting this to be, this next move up to be the explosive one. And after getting that all-time high retest, we're expecting this really move to start accelerating to the upside pretty fast. Total market cap retest, right? We can go look at total 3, which is our altcoins, right? Minus Bitcoin, ETH, and stable coins. Simple retest of this previous high, right? Flip into support, right? We can go look at Ethereum itself, right? Previous all-time high from May of 2021, right? We broke it, came back down and have retested. All retests across the board. And as long as all these levels hold, I think this is just the precursor and sort of the reset phase, right? Where you get, you get the breakout on Ethereum, you get the breakout on Bitcoin, you finally get the breakout on total market cap. Everyone starts believing. Well, then the market makers have to stall it for a little bit, right? Pull it back for a little bit so people stop believing before the real move happens. And I think that's what's happening right now. And this move is going to accelerate in time because as we look at our previous cycles, and crypto tends to rhyme, right? It's not always the same. The price action's not always the same, but the time frames tend to rhyme, right? The last 6 months, okay, of the cycle tend to accelerate, okay? 2021, right? Really, we look at total market cap from 2021. Man, I mean, we look at that last, from December 2020 to here. I mean, you got about half the bull market in that last, 5 months of the cycle. 2017, right? We look at June 2017 to December 2017. You got about half the gains in that last 6 months of the cycle. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. And, the reason why I think that we're heading towards the last part of the cycle is because if we're expecting this total market cap chart to go parabolic to the 10 trillion point, and we're also looking at Bitcoin dominance getting a plunge into our green zone here, okay? Usually the Bitcoin dominance major falls are the last point of the cycle, right? So we look at, here from December 2020 to May 2021, this was only 5 months, guys. 5 months from 75% to 38%. We look at 2017, right? I mean, 71% down to 36%. Guys, this was 2 months, okay? This was 2 months. This was 5 months. What is going to happen here, right? The last part of the cycle is always the point where Bitcoin dominance gets an absolute plunge, and it plunges very, very fast. We're talking about a few months. And we also see the parabolic action over here in total market cap. So, when we put everything together and we continue to look at everything, right? We got back tests on Bitcoin. We got back tests on Ethereum. We got back tests on total market cap. We got back tests on the altcoin market cap, okay? Back tests before the actual move happens, before the exciting move happens, okay? That is what we're looking at, right? We put that together. We look at stablecoin dominance going lower, which is why we're expecting total market cap to go higher. And we're also looking at the time frame of the 4-year cycle of us already being in August of the 4th year of the cycle, right? Which is why we're expecting Bitcoin dominance to fall. That all comes into play of, yes, we think that Bitcoin is going to push higher, right? Yes, I think Bitcoin is going to push into a higher price, but I think a lot of these gains are going to stem from Ethereum breaking into new price discovery, right? XRP breaking into new price discovery, Chainlink breaking into new price discovery, Crow breaking into new price discovery. As you're already seeing it on a lot of these assets starting to get these big moves, right? We got ETH hitting a new all-time high. We got XRP hitting a new all-time high, right? We got Crow on its way right now. Right? We got Chainlink starting to move up, right? We're getting these signals that the altcoin market is ready to absolutely go nuts, right? As we are at that last point of the cycle. And, you can believe that this time is different, and you can believe that we're going into some type of super cycle that's longer than 4 years. I will not buy that because the 4-year cycle has been undefeated. Right, last cycle, a lot of people were thinking, okay, this is going to go longer than 2021, right? We're going to push into 2022, the extended cycle theory. And anyone who believed in the extended cycle theory got absolutely destroyed, okay? And I will not be that believer, and I will be the believer in that total market cap once it starts coming, and it already has broken into new all-time highs, but as it goes parabolic, guys, remember, that is the time to take profits. That is not the time to be euphoric, okay? Now, as we looked at our charts, right, we looked at all the data, right? Stablecoin dominance, Bitcoin dominance, right? Our total 3 chart being in a rising wedge and having the 3 rising valleys pattern, okay? Which is, we're looking for the top of the rising wedge before the ultimate rug pull, okay? Which for that rug pull, we will be major bears, guys, but not exactly yet, right? Total market cap, we're looking at the top of our rising wedge. We have all our charts. How can we put all of that together, right, and sort of look at it? Well, right now we know we're in Ethereum season, and right, how the cycles typically go is they typically go Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's had its 3 to 4 years of absolute crazy rally, right? But after Bitcoin sort of gets close to its top, which I do believe Bitcoin is approaching close to its top. I don't think it's the top yet, but I do think Bitcoin is, right, not the best play at this point of the cycle, right? But as Bitcoin approaches its top, right, that's when you start getting Ethereum go nuts. And you guys can see since April, ETH has, pulled almost a 4x in price, okay, since April. Okay, we're talking 4 months, 4x. That is a major move. And Ethereum season, okay, and getting Ethereum to previous all-time highs is typically what kicks off the real altcoin season, right? If we look at the last cycle and we look at when ETH broke into those previous all-time highs, right here, which was in January, February of 2021, you guys can see Bitcoin dominance. January, February 2021 is when Bitcoin dominance started to plunge. Okay, so I think this is all coming together, right? You can see once ETH broke into new all-time highs, it did have higher to go, but ultimately from this point of ETH breaking all-time highs, the rotation was mainly, right, the altcoin market, because you can see how much Bitcoin dominance dropped from that point. But ETH, from that point, right, really only went up another 3x, okay? So as we get ETH breaking into new all-time highs, which I do believe it will, I do believe the rotation is going to go into the altcoin market. And what really sets me off there, and what really starts to look at from that perspective of, I don't think we have a lot of time left in this cycle based on previous cycles and sentiment, okay? Now that we're seeing Ethereum start to run, that usually means there's not a lot of time left in the cycle. If we look over here on our Coinbase indicator, which this is the crypto apps ranking on the App Store in the US. So this is the Apple Store and where the crypto apps rank. And we specifically look at Coinbase because the previous 2 cycles, we did not see the euphoric top. We did not see the cycle top until what? Until Coinbase hit the #1 app on the App Store. And this cycle, we've gotten as high as number 9, which is a great local top signal, but we have not gotten close to that #1 app, okay? So everything's got to play it out as we expected, guys. Total market caps and new all-time highs. Ethereum's getting ready to push into new all-time highs, which we looked at last time. Once Ethereum broke into new all-time highs, guys, there was really only 3 months until we hit that new local top. I don't think there's a lot of time left. And you might be saying, okay, Coinbase is only at number 332 on the Apple App Store, okay? Which means we're nowhere close to euphoria. But I want to remind you guys, we can go from the hundreds to the top 10 extremely fast. Just to give you guys an example, last year in November, on November 4th, Coinbase was at 484 on the App Store. People say, oh, well, everyone already has Coinbase. Guys, we went from 484 on the App Store to all the way up to number 9 in a span of 10 days. So if you don't think that euphoria can happen very, very fast, think again, okay? In 10 days, you went from 484 to 9 on the App Store. So right now, we're at 332. Guys, this market could get euphoric in 10 days. It doesn't take a lot. It just takes about a week or 2 of crazy price action to get this market super euphoric. Okay, so we have Ethereum close to breaking previous all-time highs. Once again, it could take a few weeks. We don't have to do it right this second. My main point with this video today is to say, I don't think there's a lot of time left. All right, I think you got about 3 to 4 months to lock in, okay? Especially lock in your gains if you're getting these crazy gains on some of these coins that are making some pretty good moves. We haven't seen crazy moves yet, right? But we have seen some pretty good moves. Lock in some gains as we go higher. But I really think we're setting up for stablecoin dominance to go lower and for Bitcoin dominance to go lower, which just simply put in English means altcoin market parabolic. Okay. And that's what I think we're setting up for the last 4 months of the cycle, which is we've seen in every cycle. Sometimes it could be the last month of the cycle, right? This was December 2017. We saw a 35% drop in dominance in 2 months. Okay. Sometimes it could be that very last point of the cycle. Sometimes it could be 5 or 6 months, right? 21, it was January to May, right? That was 5 full months of an alt season. No one knows how long it will be, but it's mostly looking at our expected levels, okay, which is, to me, is this green box down here. And when stablecoin dominance gets close to this 4.91% level. Until those, I'm expecting Bitcoin to go higher. I'm expecting the altcoin market to outperform Bitcoin and go higher, okay? So that is the video today, guys. Just another update and more data to sort of look at, and why we believe that total market cap is going to go into this parabolic run up to 10 trillion, up for top of our rising wedge. And another reminder not to get too euphoric when it happens. I'm saying it now before it happens. I will be making bearish videos as this market goes higher, okay? As we start getting up here, 5, 6, 7 trillion, which I am expecting to happen pretty soon, I will become more and more bearish the higher the prices go, okay? I will be having a lot of fun, but a lot of you guys won't enjoy my content as we get up here. Right now, I'm a bull, okay? I'm a perma bull until we see stablecoin dominance hit 4.91%. I don't care about the little short-term pullbacks. They don't matter to me, okay? I'm in this for the big moves, and that's where I think we're headed. A big move up for the crypto market here. So, guys, subscribe to the channel, join the journey, get on the bandwagon here, okay, of the biggest blow off top in crypto history, followed by the biggest rug pull. And hey, if it doesn't work out, if you're subscribed, you can come and hate on me all you want, right? I'm open with that too. But, I have the data, and I'm not just going based off my feelings on why I think this is going to happen. I have the charts and all the data and all the cycle data to back up my thought process here. And I have my validation, which is the 50 moving average band. So subscribe to the channel, join the train. Let's get to 100K by the end of September. I think we can easily do that. Appreciate the guys' support, and I'll catch you guys probably this weekend for a video or a live stream, depending on what price action we're getting. All right, adios. It's been your boy Jordan Cameron. Catch you in the next one. Peace.